Welcome to Muddy River News this week. I'm Bob Goff. My guest today is Kathleen Helsabeck with the Quincy Public Library. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
A lot of times you or some of your staff come on and you talk to Ron Kinshriff about books on Book Nook.
Right.
And we appreciate that partnership. But
yes, we do.
But one thing we were talking about today is the operations of the library.
Yes.
You just went before the city council and you requested a levy amount, and then the city, you got a little bit less than you originally requested, but you said you could live with it. But now we're looking at this, and what was the need for the increase above the levy?
Right. The need for the increase above the levy is just for operating. That is what it cost. It cost, our total request to the city was $2.3 million. And that's a culmination of three different revenue sources: PPRT, property taxes, and the city chooses to subsidize some of that property tax. So the third revenue source is the subsidy.
How many, has the city always provided a subsidy?
Since 1993, so the last 30 years
Sure.
or so.
Okay.
That was a change when Mayor Chuck Schultz was in place. There was a discrepancy in PPRT. There was a change in that number which left a deficiency in the library budget. And instead of raising property taxes, the mayor chose to just subsidize through the general funds. Mm-hmm. At that time, it was just $120,000, relatively low. And that did cause some concern for the library board. How can we guarantee that we're going to get our money if it's not through the levy? And the library board was consoled and said, you will get this. You will get this money. I've seen the memos and between Gary Sparks and the library board. And so, now we've gone here, that subsidy is a little bit more. It was a lot higher before they raised the property tax, but it's the cost of the library, and it's gone down. We've eliminated so many jobs over the years. We've been slowly cut. Our subsidy has been cut, and our levy has been cut over the years. At some point, I think in the 90s, we were at 0.34, 34 cents on a $100 assessed value. Now we're at 0.15.
Now,
and it's very hard for us to do what we need to do.
But you talked about PPRT, which is a personal property replacement tax.
Yes.
And those funds are going down across the state.
They are.
The state is reducing those. So
Yes.
you are getting a reduction. You'll be getting that trickle-down reduction because
Yes.
you get a PPRT revenue stream that is separate from your levy.
Yes,
So,
yes.
And
that's impacted.
Right.
If our PPRT was at $800,000 like
Sure.
it was a couple of years ago, we wouldn't need a subsidy.
Right.
We could manage.
Right.
But since the PPRT went down, it has to be made up somewhere. We have to continue doing business. We don't want any less staff. We still cost to buy books. We're still buying books. The library will never stop buying books.
no, it's kind of what library's all about. So,
Right.
But the other thing is, again, it's not 1975 anymore.
No,
and
it's
you
not.
you can't if you just think, oh, I'm just going to go check out a book, or that's all they do. I can walk in there with my iPad, and if I want to download Les Mis or something,
Right.
whatever, just pick a book,
Right.
pick a classic I want to download.
Yes.
I can go and do that at the library.
Yes, you can do it from your own home too.
Yeah, but if I'm a library member,
Yes.
and I'll get a couple 3 weeks to do it.
Yes, yeah. With
Okay.
your library card,
Yes.
you have access to all of the collection that's in the library building, and you have access to a digital collection. We have several different Hoopla and Libby and others of digital platforms. You can download ebooks, you can download audiobooks, you can listen to audiobooks while you're mowing the yard or
Sure.
washing dishes. That's what I like to do.
Now I do the yard mowing part. Yeah, I get you
Yes,
there. So, and
yes.
sometimes I have to load the dishwasher. So,
Right, right.
When you mentioned staffing, your staffing levels are down significantly over
They
say
are
20 years ago.
Yes, significantly. We would definitely like to add more staff to our. We're even below our standards.
How many staff do you have right now?
We have 37 staff.
How many are full-time and part-time?
Full-time 31 and 6 part-time.
Okay.
25 years ago we had 57 staff. 20 years ago we had about 48 staff. Every so often there seems to be a reason that the library budget is cut and we have to cut positions. And the library has been in a position where they just don't fill. There are vacancies where people retire or leave, and those positions are not filled.
And the city also, just to be fair, the city's also had reduced positions over the years. I know they brought some back, and in trying to deal with all that. So
we would like to get back to our staffing levels too. Our our state standards have staffing levels for us, just like all the departments in the city do, and we as a library would like to get back to that as well.
The aldermen talk about control of the library per se. There is an alderman who's a representative on the board, and you said that's because that's through statute. There's at least one alderman.
Yes.
And it's a 9-person board.
Yes.
So, but it's also the mayor appoints the entire board, correct?
Yes. Yes. The mayor appoints the board, and then the city council, their role in that process of control is to approve those appointments. So over the I've been here 6 years, 3 different mayors, and they have all done that process. They've all been included in that process.
Now, one of the things is, again, because of the levy situation, one of the options could be that you said that the city would, or the library would just branch off on its own.
Right.
And just have its own self-sustained levy that when you get your property tax bill, along with saying City of Quincy, John Wood, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Mostly Quincy Public Schools. But then you would also say, it would say Quincy Public Library.
Yes. On that list, instead of over here on this column, it would move over to that list. Yes, that is a possibility.
And what would that number be?
Right. That number would be very similar to what the city is already funding us at. It would be a little bit more because that subsidy would be included in that levy. We would need to be funded at the level that includes both of those sources of revenue. It has to be combined. We wouldn't get a subsidy anymore. So we would need that levy to be raised at the level of fully funding our library.
But the city could. Okay, so then, but it would also take, doesn't it also take a public election in order to do that?
Right. So the middle step would be raising the levy to where it needed to be. Then both boards, the city and the library, would pass a resolution stating this is what we wanted to do. And then we would be on our own.
What's the board's feeling on that?
The board is having discussions at their board meetings. We had one last month, and we have another monthly board meeting. We'll have another discussion. So they're weighing those options, and they're doing some research. There's professionals from the state library that we can contact, and that we are in contact with to look at that option.
And then your board would then go from 9 to 7, but all 7 members would then be elected by the public.
They would be, yes.
So instead of the current setup where they're appointed by the mayor, which advise and consent, the aldermen say, yeah, go ahead and put this person on, except for our one alderman who's already on there. So you have to look at that if the people who run want to actually be politicians, for lack of a better term.
Right.
And so, again, or they just want to keep doing what they're doing. But, if the city, you kind of got a little bit of the sense I was getting as we chatted earlier was the fact that, your subsidy's probably going to be, every year now, it seems like because of the state funding situation, federal funding uncertainty, your levy is going to be in question every year.
Right.
So, if you were to, the subsidy is going to be in question every year.
Right.
So if you were to branch out on your own and do this, you at least would have the satisfaction that your rate would be locked in.
Yes.
And then you could do the cost of living adjustments and all that. And if you needed to do more, you'd go before the public. So I certainly see the pros and the cons of all this.
Yes. That is a good pros and cons overview of that. Definitely.
So again, I mean, it's you in your position, if you're not reporting to your board, you got to report to the city council now.
Right.
It would streamline it to where you just have your board, but then again, your board would certainly be in a more of a state of flux, I guess, because right now, how long are the appointments?
3 years.
Okay.
3 years.
And elected positions, I would assume, be 4?
4 to 6.
Oh,
yes.
6.
You can.
Okay.
There's Two different kinds. I'm not for sure why and all
Okay.
the details with that.
All right.
But yeah.
Well, I look again. And again, being someone who is, of course, my kids are all grown now for the most part. And as this airs on Mother's Day, Happy Mother's Day to their mother.
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day to
Yes,
all the moms
thank
out
you.
there.
Happy
Thank you.
Mother's Day.
But my kids will come back. We took them there for all the programs. We
Yes.
loved in all the stuff as kids. The kids library. Then as they got older, they graphic novels, and then they go look at classics and do stuff if they need to do stuff for school or whatever. And now they still like to come back for the used bookstore.
Yes.
So I
yes.
imagine we'll be making a trip there when
Right.
they're here this weekend. So again, if you just take a look at everything the library offers, and you also mentioned the bookmobile, mobile
Yes.
library and
Yes.
stuff. So again, there are a lot of things out there when people just say we don't need libraries anymore. Libraries certainly have a place in our community.
Yes, and they are innovative. Libraries are innovative. We're always looking to new ways of doing things, being efficient with the taxpayer dollars, being good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, and utilizing our space. We are inviting and welcome of all programs that want to come in, civic organizations, groups. Just recently, within the last few months, Baby Steps from Blessing Hospital has come to use our space twice a week for postpartum breastfeeding support group. Families, moms, dads, infants, siblings are all coming to use the space. And so it's turned into morphed into a community center. Mm-hmm. We provide space for all sorts of places to come, people to come and use the space.
Well, with summertime coming, though, those kids are going to
Yes.
get them out of the house
Right,
sometimes,
right.
like get them in the library.
Yeah, summer reading program.
There you go. Summer reading program.
Summer reading kickoff is May 31st.
There you go.
Saturday, May 31st. And so we're excited to start.
We want them to go outside and play and go to the pool and all that stuff
Yes.
too, but we also don't want their brains to turn to jelly
Right.
over the 3 months they're out of school. So
Right.
yeah, get them reading, get them to the library and do
Right.
some stuff. So,
Right.
all right. Well, Kathleen, I appreciate the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon.
Yes, thank you.
That's all the time we have for now. I'm Bob Goff. Have a great week.